Hey everyone. All right. So this is Gut Health and Parasites. I'm so glad you are hopping on here tonight. And if not, you're catching this recording. So I want you to know this is a no fear zone. If you feel an ew or like just creepy crawling, there's a reason because the parasites can actually tap into your nervous system and release things to actually get your emotions to start to respond to get you to take actions they want, not necessarily what you need. And it's a book called This Is Your Brain on Parasites. Interesting read. You're welcome to try it, but just be warned. All right, so we're going to get into it. Um, a little known fact, if you go look on the World Health Organization, I don't agree with everything they say, but they do get the statistics of parasites because that's what they really, really work in. They say a minimum of 700,000 deaths a year by parasites. This is including, third world countries and stuff where they just are like loaded with these things. You walk around and get them. Funny thing is, we can walk around and get them outside. So, fun little fact actually about ivermectin. When it was first discovered, the company Merck picked it up and it was actually avermectin, and they created ivermectin. They did a huge campaign where they mass produced ivermectin and shipped it for free around the world because literally parasites were taking out millions of people a year from river blindness, from GI issues, and different things like that. So we aren't that far removed. That was in the 60s and 70s. We're not that far removed from the world being really influenced and impacted by this. It's an epidemic. So I don't know if you knew the plague is actually classified in with the parasites because it is a bacteria that travels from the insect onto the rats onto the people. And so um, and that took out a lot of people. And it actually still exists today. Isn't that interesting? But you get your microbiome right and you're strong. You don't have to worry about that. All right. So signs of having parasites, they're probably very similar to what you've seen of poor gut health, which is fatigue that doesn't go away no matter how many supplements you take. And you have anemia, organ issues, cancer, cyst, autoimmune, skin rashes. That's just a short list. There's a lot more that goes into that. And we are actually one of the few countries that does not deworm our population. The UK does it every year, Australia does it, and they do it actually to their children. Every school year, they have antiparasitics that everyone takes, and they make it through the cold and flu season, probably a little better than we do. So, everyone has them. It's just we live on planet Earth. It is what it is. And to give you a picture of why is one, they can be transferred in utero. Um, it's known in third world countries. It's known here. Breast milk. It can go through breast milk. It can be on your fruit. It can be on the meat of animals. Now, pork is the most prevalent. You actually can't cook pork enough to kill all the parasites. You would have to burn it black. So if you've ever eaten pork, I love my bacon, but you actually can't cook it enough to kill all of them. So knowing that, I'll share a little bit of our story. So we started Plexus because my husband actually had IBS for decades. It helped him. It was the first thing that gave him back his quality of life. My kids had, well, actually my oldest had allergies, seasonal allergies, food, like tummy issues, rashes. She could not tolerate a lot of different foods. There's a lot of food allergies on the table. We had an EpiPen, Benadryl all the time because we never knew what would flare her up. And I was like, God did not design a 3-year-old to have to live like this. We were becoming scared of food. And I was like, something's not right. This is not how we're designed. And so I started her on the kid supplements and then dose the triplex to her body weight, and it helped her immensely. It helped my husband just feel better. where nothing really had, it had kept him stable, but nothing helped him get better. For me, it helped with inflammation, hormones, brain fog. Um, let's see, I would get hangry all the time. I mean, so many different things that I just thought were normal, like terrible periods. Sorry, guys, but true, like all the things that you just think are normal. Well, here's an interesting fact. Did you know that for women, are built in with a detox ability, which is our monthly periods. Men sweat a lot. If you notice that, men and children sweat a lot. Why? Because that is their main way to detox. And it's beautiful. It needs to happen. It's how their body gets it out. Well, when we start our cycles, our bodies shift and it goes into a massive blood cleansing ability. Why? Because it's protecting any new babies that are going to be created and the women. So you'll see the influence of when in menopause you end up losing that detox system. What happens? Hot flashes. Guess what? You're going back into that detox, but now you've lost an ability and you have such a high toxin load, and parasites actually play a huge role in how high your toxin load can go. And so my husband actually ended up in the hospital with ventricular tachycardia. Basically, his heart was beating so fast and it couldn't stop. And they almost couldn't get it back into rhythm. The reason was because during COVID, we had gotten a dog. She had worms. I didn't know. It's COVID, nothing's going right. And like, it's just crazy town, for everyone. So we ended up getting them from her. I didn't know what to do. You can't get into doctor. So I'm just like troubleshooting as we go. Um, and then fast forward a couple of years, he's severely anemic and he has almost no blood in his body for his heart to beat. That's why I was going so fast. Now, men do not bleed like women do, but he was having something causing internal bleeding and sucking his iron stores in his blood dry. Yeah. So any men who deal with anemia, you're looking at a very high load. So we also looked at medical history and he had his appendix out. Most appendix procedures that get taken out, when they do the autopsy, they find parasites inside of them, 99.9% of them. So your GI tract is very susceptible to these things for multiple different reasons I'll get into. So he also had a dog that was crazy. Any crazy dog, sorry, they have worms, you need to deworm them. And so he had random stomach pain. And this is where being a detective for yourself or for others is really powerful. Stomach pain, ended up in the hospital. They couldn't figure out what it was, went on his way. IBS started literally months after that, and no one put the two and two together because we don't treat parasites in this country, right? Right? They don't exist. So no, you can just get them from a dog, which is not true. Fast forward to when we get our dog. So by this point, he has multiple parasites that have not been diagnosed, have been overlooked. And every time he got a colonoscopy, he's fine. So he gets it and it just tanks like his health. So we finally find a doctor and he's literally been on albendazole for about 3-4 months and it's been huge. That's an antiparasitic and we can get into it. So that's part of our story. Another thing I saw with parasites, my kids' learning abilities started to tank, especially one of them, because there's a double MTHFR gene here. And so literally her body is just trying to make it through. Me, crazy periods, like they went off the chain, headaches, all this stuff. And I'm like, we're doing all the gut health, we're doing things, what's going on? And really what happens is you have parasites and they get to what's called a parasitic stress load that the body can no longer tolerate or handle or mitigate. And then you see like chronic issues, ending up in the hospital, removing organs, like lots of different things. And I'm not saying this is the only cause for, some of those, but it is a very undiagnosed one. So did you know that there are studies that they have misdiagnosed parasitic egg sacs as cancer. And one female parasite can lay up to 10,000 eggs a day. So these statistics aren't to like get you like, oh my gosh, what do we do? Listen, we control what we can control, and then we got to trust the Lord. We got to trust the process and just know this design that God made is extremely powerful and effective. Your immune system is like, it's better than any computer or anything we could create. God knew what we would face on this earth. So like I said, in those things that I mentioned before, like fatigue, GI issues like severe constipation or diarrhea, you just can't get firm stool. The other thing is being hungry all the time and never feeling satisfied, unexplained weight loss, insomnia. Y'all, parasites will make it so you cannot sleep. Why? Because your gut, your immune system goes into seek, find, and destroy and repair mode while you're sleeping to a level that is unprecedented when you're awake. That's why when you're sick, you go to sleep because it is like at its tip top ability. Well, they will make it so you can't fall asleep, go to sleep, wake up, have trouble going back to sleep, and all this stuff. They'll mess up your rhythms. So then your organs can't detox. Your brain has a detox that happens at night. And so they know how to mess up and all these things like colitis, Crohn's, colon cancer, lesions, gallbladder out, thyroid out, hormones issues, POS. Did you know they're actually treating PCOS? But that's right, PCOS with albendazole, and they're having great success because parasites love reproductive organs. So, you have specific types of parasites. You have little ones that are in the bloodstream. You have the long ones that are in the gut. And then you have the flukes that love things like the pancreas or the liver and things like that. Y'all, this is like years of research. So if you're like, oh, it's okay, it's normal, you're in good company. And I'm glad you're here. So what they have found with antiparasitics is they are starting to have to use those in cures for cancer. Now, not a whole lot of people know about this, but there are tons of studies from ivermectin, fenbenzenol, if I said that right, praziquantel. Pancreatic cancer is one of like it's a really rough cancer. Praziquantel is known to knock that out. And it's a lot of theories because there's a lot of theories of fungus and parasites being what create cancer. And you guys can go research that. All right, so how do we get them? We get them from international travel. We get them from livestock. You ever lived on a farm, been around a farm, gone to a state fair, anything like that, gone to a dog park. So animals in the house, outside the house, human to human worms, those do exist. Pour water, let's see, food that I mentioned. Eggs aren't, that's why we wash our vegetables, because eggs, the parasite eggs just are laying on the outside. Same with animals. That's why they constantly are deworming livestock. You ask any farmer, they're doing it on the regular because parasites can take out their whole herd if they don't do that. So tests, when we get in to this, tests are actually in Western medicine very inaccurate, unfortunately. The parasite's ability to hide, they burrow into tissue. So stool samples don't actually count. They actually have enzymes that they can release to self-destruct once they exit the body. So really you have like 10, maybe 30 minutes once the stool exits the body to actually find any parasite eggs are actually parasites. Know that things around a full moon, possibly, because that's when they breed. That's where the word lunatic comes from, because literally around the luna, the moon, people would get these ticks. And that was from parasitic loads just being too high and driving them crazy. All right, so let's see what we got. So when we lower the parasitic stress, really, you can't ever really get rid of all of them. It just is what it is. That's why God gives us new bodies. When we lower the parasitic stress, the results we see are less pain, less brain fog. And that's why you see it with our triplex. You'll see people's brain fog will go away because it's addressing candida and bad bacteria that is also causing systemic inflammation. All right, so I have a lot of people ask me, do I just do a parasite cleanse? And the answer is no, because one, GI mobility is extremely important in getting inside the folds of your intestines. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It looks like a crazy accordion squished together inside of us. Those folds need to be cleaned out because otherwise they bury their eggs in the candida and they hide them in the bad bacteria, and they can stay in there up, depending on the egg, 15 years until they hatch, especially tapeworms. And so there are some people out there that say, just leave the parasites. They help, they clean up. They're like bottom feeders. The answer is no. There is no benefit to them. There's a difference between a symbiotic relationship, which is good and bad bacteria. Did you know that our body actually uses enzymes, and it's called postbiotics, that they create, like vitamins and different things and enzymes we need? There's actually bad bacteria that create enzymes that we have to have on a cellular level, but it's having good 80% good and 20% bad. If you don't have that and you have more bad than good, then you're actually getting flooded with too much good stuff. You know, too much good cannot be good for you. So you just have to have that balance in check and correct. And so you have to do parasite cleanses with gut health protocols. And so the reason basically parasites take root is because poor gut health. If our guts were 100% the way God created them, with just the full flora, they actually would not take root. They would pass through top to bottom. Their eggs would pass through and they wouldn't be able to get in us. But the problem is we have, what impacts our guts is stress. Stress is huge, y'all. It kills off a lot of good bacteria. Toxin load, antibiotics, Western diet, medications, even over-the-counter medications affect our gut. And so you have nutritional deficiencies that also affect that. And it can be even little, just even like vitamin D deficiencies. Go look up the stats for that, of how many of us are vitamin D deficient. Because that is a hormone that drives our immune system. And yes, NSAIDs are notorious because they actually take the juncture of our guts are like this, and NSAIDs help do this. And what happens? We start having like a lot of ability for stuff to go through. So when we have parasites in us, they are also pooping and peeing. Sorry, but they are. And it is ammonia, methane, and other toxic substances that our bodies have to now mitigate. And one of the things that it does is it stores as fat. So if you hit a weight loss plateau, or you cannot lose weight, no matter what you do, then you should do parasite, and you need to do a long parasite protocol, a very long, like we're looking at years because of how many eggs they lay. So, but the cool thing is once you start to lower that load, I've had people within the first year start to have really good results when adding in a parasite cleanse on top of the triplex, and it's fantastic. Or if you have been doing really good in your gut health and then all of a sudden you stop and start going backwards, that's another sign your parasitic load has gotten too high for what your body can handle. And so it just causes systemic inflammation, and your body is doing everything it can to keep you alive and keep those organs, your internal organs, from being damaged by anything. I mean, man, I love our bodies. They are so amazing. They work so hard for us. Like this temple, this thing that God gave us is such a blessing, and it is incredibly powerful. I just love learning about it because I realize I've lost the passed down knowledge from like great grandparents that knew how powerful we were and how to use some herbs to get them working right. And so let me go in a little bit into our gut health system so you can see how it all works. So you have the important part is you've got to reduce inflammation. You have to balance blood sugar. Why do you have to balance blood sugar? Because the gut is the biggest endocrine organ. So the more blood sugar support you can give to it, the faster it heals, the faster it can initiate immune responses, which 80% of your immune system is in your gut. And so that's a huge key. And then actually healing the gut, repopulating. So like our probiotic, it has antifungals and enzymes and 5 strands that are anti-inflammatory, which is very, very important because you already have a lot of inflammation going on. And they are powerhouses that go in and wage war of uh, it's called protective probiotics, and there are several in here that they're like big, think of like big hammerheads, and they go in and are able to take up and establish colonies very quickly, which does not happen. And it's in an active form, freeze dried. Talking too fast, y'all. I'm so excited. And so this helps repopulate. And when you do that, you actually get the eggs that are in that bad bacteria, you are getting them to exit the bowels. Do you see what I'm saying? It's starting to get rid of the bad bacteria that has been housing the ability for these parasites to reproduce. And so here's the key piece. We have Slim. I actually give a little bit to my kids because, yeah, there's sugar and everything, everywhere. Try like getting away from any holiday without someone giving a kid a cookie. It's hard. So this helps balance your blood sugar. It actually helps also increase your master antioxidant glutathione. That is key because if you're doing parasite removal, we can call it, you need extra glutathione. Because your immune system is going to be utilizing it a lot. It also has anti-cancer properties in here. The chlorogenic acid that is extracted has those, and so it's very protective and good for the cells in the body, and it helps prebiotics. This version, the microbiome, helps the good bacteria grow 200 to 300 times faster, and only the good bacteria, where most prebiotics grow both. This is patented to only grow the good, which helps you get the parasites out faster. And then my favorite is the BioCleanse. So this is an oxygenated form of magnesium. The reason this is so powerful is, one, it has antihistamine natural properties within it. It has vitamin C, and antihistamine properties means less stress on the body. It helps everything calm down. It has alkalining properties. It has vitamin C that boosts your immune system, and it helps get into the folds. Remember I said it's like an accordion in the gut. It helps get into those little crevices in the folds in the gut. And that is important because it is helping, again, remove the egg sacs, the different things like that. And you have to have minerals. So this is an electrolyte, no sugar, no dyes, no preservatives. This is called hydrate. This is healing, highly absorbable to the body. What happens is when the body goes into removing candida or parasites or fighting the flu or cold, it requires an incredible amount of minerals. And the best way to get it is through hydration. So you have that piece, and it is very powerful. And then we have what's called X Factor Plus, and that fills in nutritional gaps. If you have nutritional gaps, it's almost like having a hole in your fortress wall. And so this helps come in and fill in the holes. And so moving on to parasite cleanses, the types you can do, there's herbal, there's homeopathic, which is very gentle. But I've even had people feel it on the homeopathic side if they have a really high load. There is a diatomaceous earthway. If you have histamine issues, you can do the homeopathic or diatomaceous earth, but typically then I move them into the herbal or using antiparasitics. Typically I like to do a blend of herbal and antiparasitic if possible. And you sort of have to be creative in that arena. And so what that does when you do a gut health system with parasites, it creates a long-term health focus, but you start getting short-term benefits because you start seeing all those things I said, like your better bowel movement, maybe weight loss, maybe this even affects mental health. Because if you look up what excess ammonia in the body does to the brain, it is really inflammatory. And then we also have, oh, and the other thing I wanted you to know is if you do parasite cleanses, and let's say you happen to be the 1 out of 6 million that doesn't have a parasite, which is amazing. The worst case scenario is you're getting rid of cancer cells. So that's what doing parasite cleanses and antiparasitics, that's the down and upside. You get rid of cancer cells. So yay. And there's some great studies out there for that. So additional things you can use are, remember, we're focusing on supporting the immune system. So things like Immune Plus, sleep, highly, highly recommend melatonin because it actually slows down the parasites from being active at night. Some people go through a little bit of a detox actually, but it's known in mold protocols and different protocols that melatonin at a therapeutic dose is really healing. And our sleep gummy is amazing. I have actually given like little pieces to my kids because it helps you go to sleep and stay asleep. And some people who are like, it helps me go to sleep, but I don't stay asleep. As we work on that parasitic load, you see where the gummy starts to kick in as the parasites decrease. So it is very phenomenal, and it has adaptogens because basically when you have high parasitic loads, your adrenals are running 24/7. They just are. So we have things like MetaBurn that will help the adaptogen side, help mental support and focus, give you a little energy boost. Things like the reset, which is a 3-day nutritionally supported fast, will also help because fasting kills parasites. Basically removes their food source, and this specific one does a great job. And then it resets the liver, kidneys, your main 2 detox processes, and it resets the gut, which is phenomenal. And you can do those as many as you want. And the liver takes the biggest weight. It takes the weight of all of this. So making sure you're supporting with a good multivitamin, your methylated Bs, your fermented greens, different things like that. It is very, very powerful. All right. I know this is getting a little long, but you guys are hanging with me. I'm so thankful. My kids might be coming up the stairs. Woohoo! Party time. All right. So this takes time. So know we have like within Plexus, we have over 30 different products. So you can find something to help. You can take collagen to help repair the where they've been biting you in your intestines. Listen, it's just true. They create a lot of havoc and damage. They ain't trying to play nice. So if you need to add collagen, do that. And ours is fantastic. It actually has immune boosting properties in it. So this is for everyone, man, woman, child, even animals, although animals can only take the Probio 5, not the other stuff. But regularly deworm your animals if you have them in the house. Gut health work is for all the time because of the stress in the world we live in. Just daily having that is a very powerful tool in prevention. And then a parasite cleanse, you should do minimum where you do like fall and spring. So it's twice a year, or you can do summer or winter, whatever you pick. A lot of farmers do that. And they go in 90-day cycles. So you'll do the parasite cleanse along with your gut health regimen for 90 days. And then you will take a break so you can let your liver and your kidneys have a nice, be like, all right, we were working hard, and then give them a little rest. And so this is an investment in your health. And I'm really thankful for the products we have. Plexus does not have a parasite cleanse, but when they do, y'all, I will be letting you know about it. So if you get this video at the time that they do have the parasite cleanse, please use it. And remember, it takes 90 days for your cells to regenerate. And so typically I give the protocol a minimum of a year There's no quick fixes here, but these are therapeutic grade tools that are very effective. They get to the root, and we have a great community that wants to cheer you on and support you. Because freedom is on the other side of fear and the other side of hard work. And this does take some work. So I really want to encourage you guys to jump in, do it, take baby steps. Listen, you do not have to go like 100,000 miles an hour. And I would highly recommend doing gut health first, and then you add in the parasite, and you go at the pace that you can. Do not push yourself faster. Do not push your body harder. Listen to it and be a co-laborer. It's different than Western medicine. We're not trying to go in and alter things, but you are a co-laborer in helping rebuild and restructure this the way that God designed. And it'll be very powerful, and you'll just see just great benefits. And so that's one thing I love about Plexus is they are extremely generous in their referral program. So if you ever want to help support your natural healing processes, for instance, 3 people, you get over $300. You refer 3 people, you get over $300 this month, which is just phenomenal because it does take an investment of time, monergy. Hey, it's money and energy. Look, it's a new word. Monergy. Hashtag it. Just kidding. Don't hashtag it. All right. Hopefully you laughed. Hopefully you got some good info. I think that's it. So get back to the person who invited you or sent you this video. And that's it.